the question came through, if you have two HCC codes in the same category, such as 250.40 and 250.50, what is the trumping rule? Now, this is really funny because I think this might be one of our students who submitted this. I didn't get to see the name because I use the word trump all the time, and I've not heard anybody else use that term, so yay for them submitting this question. Actually, this code, 250.40, is diabetes with renal manifestation, a type 2 diabetic, okay? And what is fantastic about Find a Code is they have all of the HCC categories, the past ones, 12, 21, and 22. They even have the ESRD and the Rx HCC listed when you go in and look at that code. So I really like that, but again, it's an 18. So we know it's diabetes with chronic complications is what 250.40 is, a category 18. And when you scroll down and you look at 250.50, it's an same thing, but it's a ophthalmic manifestation. Well, it's an 18 also. Now you can see that previously it was an 18, and unlike the other code, but the codes are all the same, okay? They're both 18s. So what do you do in this dilemma? Now, as a little bit of a back reference for you, if you don't know about HCC coding, or you're not one of our students, you are collecting these chronic conditions like the 250.50, and then you're grouping them into the categories, and both of those are in the category of 18. 18 is the code, the category code that the MA plans and everybody else is looking for. They don't look at the diagnosis code. There could be multiple codes that are 18s, that are 22s and 50s, and there's all these different HCC categories. So all of these diabetes with chronic complication codes fall under 18, and that has to be captured once a year, all right? And there's more than one pull for these, or captures a year. They pull 3 times a year. And for your patient to project how much money the MA plan needs to set aside for that patient for the future year, it is all based on whether they're an 18 or whatever category they come in, right? They don't care that they have multiple that are an 18. What they care about is, do they have an 18, a 20, a 51, or a 118 that are all of the like 70 categories that can be used, okay? So ultimately, if you have 2 that are an 18, it doesn't matter, okay? So you just have to capture something that's in the 18. Now, depending on who you work for as an HCC coder, if you work for the physician's office, I would say you capture every chronic condition regardless of the category that's in, because it just might end up being that the encounter that you're submitting for may not be a clean encounter. And by that I mean maybe the signature is not right, or maybe when it's scanned in to go to the MA plan, they can't read the date of service, or the patient's name might not be clear, so they can't count that one. So if you send in one encounter and it's not clear for whatever reason, there's delays and all kinds of problems. So I would say for a physician, they capture everything. Then when it gets sent to the MA plan narrows it down and captures like every 6 months. So for the first 6 months, they're going to collect as many, they want to get an 18, but they don't have to do it again for that patient, and then until the next 6 months. And then when it goes off for the review, then the funnel is narrowed down even more. But this is what you're looking for is the HCC category. On the first level is collecting all the chronic conditions as much as you possibly can. And your physician should be listing those and giving lines to show they're active and they're actively being treated, because you have to have a face-to-face visit for those to count. And then the next level is going to say, well, every 6 months we need to be able to collect an 18 if that's what our patient is in that category. And then again, the funnel changes. But maybe if you're being told only capture one diagnosis in each category and you have 2 to collect, I would go back and see, which do I have the most documentation on? Which is it abundantly clear in this encounter that this is a current and being treated diagnosis, chronic condition, with everything looking beautiful, from the signature to the lines that you can draw that seeing that they have ophthalmic issues, that they've been referred to a specialist, and any medications that you're taking. You know, that's the way I would do it. But as a general rule, it doesn't matter. You just got to get one every year out of your patient to be able to put them in that category, to have the money set aside for them. So excellent question, and this is something that's going to be very prevalent in our future, so I'm glad that you asked it so we could talk about it on the webinar. And just because I love HCC as well, gives me a chance to talk about something I like.
Need more medical certification training? Go to www.codingcertification.org.